Hi, I am Marion Buricatu, a French and American artist. I am also an art teacher at the Hopkinton Center for the Art and a docent at the Worcester Art Museum.
And I'm Domitille, Marion's daughter.
So today we will be telling you about the biggest war in human history, red versus blue.
And we tied in the last battle, the late medieval ages.
And now hold on to your socks because it's Protestant Reformation time.
Woohoo! What a big event! Let's give a quick summary. In the 15th century, Northern and Central Europe broke away from the Christian church and its luxuries. This led to the creation of Protestant versus Catholic sects. It also led to major societal, political, and economic changes. And it ended the unity of the Renaissance. Basically, it was a pretty big deal.
And there was also a huge impact on the history of colors. The power balance between red and blue shifted completely. Two areas of life were especially affected: clothing and painting. And this is really important because these are two huge clues we get when we study the past.
And it all ended with one big winner. Me! That's because blue became a moral color.
Well, but I don't understand the relationship between blue and the Protestant Reform.
Excellent question. Basically, the Protestant Reform introduced a new, simple moral code. Certain colors were judged to be moral, and some were judged to be immoral. The new moral Protestant color palette included white, black, gray, brown, and blue!
But the main patrons of art is still the Catholic Church and has been for centuries.
Well, not anymore. Art is now completely secular, and it wasn't even allowed in churches. This led to a huge new art movement in the epicenter of the Protestant Reform.
I know, it was the Dutch masters.
Good job. But you shouldn't have gotten that right. You'll see why. They focused on portraits and everyday life. One of the most famous artists in the movement was Rembrandt, who I'm sure you've heard of.
And so how do I recognize a Dutch Protestant painting?
It's very easy. Let's look at these two paintings by a Dutch painter from 1617. Portrait of a Man and Portrait of a Woman. Both are at the Worcester Art Museum. There is literally no color. That's how you recognize a Dutch painting, Mom.
Yeah, and definitely no red, except as an accent color sometimes.
Yes, and even then, it wasn't that often. Let's do a recap of how much I just crushed you. So the Protestant Reform had two big consequences on the use of color. Number one, Protestants embraced blue and black. And number two, colors became moral. Blue and black were honest. And red was flashy, expensive, improper, and dare I say it, immoral.
Well, but let me say something to defend myself. We said that red has the strongest symbolism in the previous video. That doesn't just go away magically. It's my turn to talk.
Alright, lay it on me.
Okay, so do you really believe that the Catholic Church isn't going to fight this battle? You really think that? It's time to talk about the Catholic Counter-Reform.
You mean the reform to the Protestant reform to reform the Christian church?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so the Italian Catholic Church did not anticipate that the Protestant Reform was going to be so popular and such a game changer, and they felt extremely threatened by it.
I mean, I would too. The Protestant Reform was so popular.
Big.
Yeah.
This is a major event. So the Catholic Church launched a counter-attack. And it was basically a major marketing campaign.
Nice.
In the artistic world, it has a name: the Baroque art movement.
That sounds very big and dramatic. Baroque.
Yes, and it's exactly what that is. That's the one thing you need to remember about this. The point is to be the complete opposite of the Protestant Reform. So, for example, the church remained the main patron. They used even more vibrant and shiny colors, so there's even more red, there's even more gold, and they used even more emotions.
I didn't think you could use more red and gold in a Catholic painting. Turns out I was wrong. But I do have a question. I don't understand why they would use more emotion.
Because after the Protestant Reform, the Catholic Church really tried to make itself more accessible. So they commissioned paintings that have more movements, like for example much more diagonals, and also just more drama. And this is a painting by the famous Catholic artist Paul Rubens. And this painting is at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C.
Honestly, it just sounds like too little, too late.
Well, let's go back to the battle between red and blue.
Yes, because we still need to talk about one big thing. The Catholic Counter-Reform did help colors stick around when it came to paintings, but that didn't really work when it came to clothing.
I guess that's a big deal.
Yeah, because clothing reflects daily life. Everyone started wearing darker colors, and that's still true today. I mean, look at New England. No offense.
Okay, so do I have to admit that I lost this battle?
Yeah, but it's okay. I've already accepted your letter of resignation and defeat. What's the score now?
Right, 2-2. But don't forget, I have a deep connection with humans since the very beginning of time, and you're not gonna get rid of me that easily.
Well, I really wish I could. I wish I could.
Okay, so now you are an art expert, and the next video is just for you because we created some fun trivia question about the Protestant Reformation. Bye!
Woo-hoo! Goodbye!
In this video, we will ask you some fun trivia questions about the battle between red and blue during the Protestant Reform in the 16th century.
Okay, so I will be asking the questions again. Number 1, what is a major game changer in the battle of red versus blue? Is it dual symbolism, the First World War, or the Protestant Reformation?
So it was the Protestant Reformation.
Okay, question number 2. In what century was the Protestant Reformation? We mentioned this in the intro. Anyways, was it in the 9th century, the 16th century, or the 19th century?
So it was the 16th century. And by the way, we made a mistake in the previous video. Is that right?
Yes, I said 15th, but I meant 16th.
Yes,
Sorry.
because, 16th century is 1500. So, sometimes we get a little bit confused.
Question number 3. What effect does the Protestant Reform have on painting? Number 1, it decreased the use of color. Number 2, it assigned moralities to colors. And number 3, blue and black were honest colors and the big winners.
So, if you listen to the previous video, you're gonna have a hard time to choose between these 3 answers because they are all the right answers.
Good job, Mom. You're so smart. Question number 4. What kind of art did Protestant artists paint? Did they paint religious art, historical art, or portraits?
So they painted portraits because they couldn't paint religious art anymore.
Yes, because the church was not the patron of art anymore.
Yes.
Question number 5. What are the 2 moral colors? Was it black and blue, blue and red, or green and yellow?
So it was black and blue because red was an immoral color.
Yes, very sinful. And question number 6. What's the name of the Catholic Counter-Reform art movement? Was it the Renaissance movement, the Baroque movement, or the Impressionist movement?
So it was the Baroque movement, which is just after the Renaissance art movement.
Yes, and a major difference that we didn't really mention in the video is that Renaissance paintings are very straight
stable.
and stiff and stable, and Baroque was all about using diagonals to show movement. Yes.
Okay, so have fun, nice chatting with you, and see you at the next video for the next battle between red and blue. Bye bye!
Bye!